Hello and welcome to the Man of Legacy podcast. This is our first episode. I'm your host, Dennis Collins, where we talk about men, women, families, sex, and life in general. Today we've got a talk with two beautiful divorced women sitting on either side of me. I'm going to give you some insight for you men when you get back into the dating scene. I want to welcome Tracy and Rebecca.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah. So how long have you ladies been divorced?
I've been divorced 10 years.
I am very recently divorced. It was finalized less than 6 months ago.
Okay. So we're going to ask a variety of questions. Just want to get your straight shot input. Want the guys to see there might be some differences in how you look at things depending on how long you've been divorced. All right, so first question is, how much time from when you started thinking about a divorce until you told your husband you wanted a separation or a divorce?
Oh, from the time that I even thought about the divorce and even mentioned it to him, probably a couple of years. But then it took us 7 years to ever actually finally get divorced.
Well, you just made her feel better.
I do.
Yeah.
And what about you, Rebecca?
Oh my God. At least 5 years before I actually said anything out loud, I was going through some personal issues with the kids, and so I tabled my own emotions and the stress between my ex-husband and I in order to take care of the kids. And then after the kids hit a level of stability, that's when I begun thinking about telling him that I wanted a divorce, and it took me another year and a half to 2 after that. And then I asked for the divorce, and then I gave it another year before I finally said I can't take it anymore and signed the filing papers.
Okay. Now, for both of you, if your husband would have gone, holy shit, I didn't know, and worked on improving himself, truly, like the guys that I work with, they become these great men. And we even have wives that will go, why the fuck didn't you do this 5 years ago? But if they would have made those changes, were you open to staying married to him?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually part of the reason why we did end up getting divorced, because for the longest time, I asked him to go to counseling with me so that we could talk through what our differences were, how we could approach things differently together, just even spend some time together rather than it seemed like we were always focusing only on the kids and never on us, which I know is like extremely common, and it's probably some of the biggest traps. But at one point he just finally said, I'm not willing to go and do any of that. I'm who I am, and that's it. And so it probably took another couple of years after that before I finally said, with this arguing and everything in the house, it's not doing the kids any good whatsoever. So we're probably better off separating. So.
Okay.
I was so involved in her. What's the question?
If your husband would have actually made changes and not been somebody you wanted to throat punch, would you have been willing to stay married?
Okay, so he and I did this uncomfortable dance for a few years, and honestly, he was the first one who brought up, like, more than 7 years ago, the fact that the direction we were going was going to head us in divorce, and that he wanted to make these changes, and we had kind of gone back and forth a few times. And so then when he made this declaration of, I'm going to be a better man, and I'm going to do these things, and I'm not going to make you make all the decisions, and I want to work on our friendship and do this and this and this, I was so excited. I cried, and I told all of my friends, and he asked me how I felt about it, and I said, honestly, I'm cautiously optimistic, but if this doesn't work and my heart breaks again, it's probably the last time I can handle it. And he wasn't super thrilled with that response, but continued with it. But then, less than a month later, he was completely fed up with the fact that I wasn't completely thrilled with all the things. And at that point, he had only half planned one date, still left all kid arrangements up to me, hadn't really, like, we hadn't just gotten to that place where I was able to say, okay, look, dude, this is what I need, in order to continue this relationship. Like, it was still, that was an unapproachable topic because he was trying so hard, and yet he was hitting areas that were not even the areas. So anyway, the last time when I did say I want a divorce, and then the full year happened, had he at that point said, I love you, and just kind of stepped back and worked on himself, instead of trying to force me to agree with him on anything, I probably would have been okay. At least I would have been willing to try. It would have been a friendship worth preserving. It would have been something I would have wanted to show my kids, to adults maturing into a new phase of love. I would have been super hesitant about it because my heart had already been broken multiple times. But yeah, I can see, and I can most definitely, even after the divorce, see the upside to having tried one last time. I can see that.
Good. Well, a lot of the guys, the question we get from them is, I've done this work and I'm changing, and even she notices it, and it's been 2 months. How come everything isn't perfect? You spent 12 or 15 years being a dumbass, and now, they think 2 months is enough to make you feel everything's okay.
Right. It's like your kids when they're 10 years old and they're constantly hitting each other in the head. And then your oldest kid stops hitting the youngest one in the head, but the youngest one still flinches when the oldest one comes around the corner. And they're like, what? I'm not going to hit you anymore. But the youngest one doesn't know that because for the last 3 years of their childhood, they've been being bopped in the head every time they walk around the corner. Well, this is how I feel about the relationship, is that, the 30 days that he gave and tried to make everything perfect, that was not enough to erase 5 years worth of never going to parent-teacher conferences. That was not enough to erase years of not functioning as a partnership, just being fair roommates.
Marathon, not a race.
Not a sprint race. Those 5Ks go awful quick.
Yeah.
All right. Have your views on dating and what you look for in a man changed from when you were first divorced until now?
Well, when I first got divorced, I did not date for 5 years.
Why not?
I was married for 15 years, and it was really hard to give up that marriage. And you want to be a better person. So I just wanted to take that time to make me better.
Oh, I love that. Because you really can't.
Yeah.
You really can't be happy with
In a
someone else.
relationship.
You can't be
Yeah.
happy in a relationship until you know how to be happy in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
And you're pretty newly divorced. Have you seen any difference in how you look at dating and men at this point?
Okay, well, for about a minute and a half, I was really sure I would never want a relationship ever again. But then I really like myself, and I have been emotionally divorced for a long, long time. Even before I first asked for that, the separation process for me had begun. So I think I was maybe a little more ready for moving on. By the time it was all said and done, I think I had already seen myself in a successful, functional relationship, even fictitiously in my imagination. I had gone there.
Right.
And so I was more ready, and now my constant thought is to continue working on myself, and my thoughts about future relationship is I really want to find a guy who is as into working on himself as I am into working on mine, and then we can come back together and say, hey, look at this great thing I found out, or even better yet, look at this stupid shit I discovered about myself. Oh my God. I'm totally ready to have someone help me hold myself accountable, and I want a real partnership. I don't care about getting married again. I don't need all of the pomp and circumstance that goes along with the early Disney falling in love, birds flying around. I don't need that shit. I don't trust it.
The bullshit.
The bullshit. I don't.
It's inevitable to avoid the honeymoon phase, though.
Yeah.
Because it is, when you first start getting to know someone,
Right.
and you find out you have this in common and that in common, and
Oh,
you're having
yeah.
fun again.
Yes.
It's the honeymoon phase, and it isn't until you hit that first bump in the road, I think, that it kind of shows the true colors of both of you. And it truly is of both of you.
Yeah.
And whether you can talk through and figure out the next steps,
Right.
and whether you're going to continue or not continue.
I think my divorce has made me not afraid of that first bump, though. I maybe am looking for it a little too fast because I'm still early in the game, but
Yeah.
I'm not afraid this time like I was early
Yeah.
in my relationship. My maturity is really a nice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So do you ladies like or love sex?
I love that.
I love sex.
All right. If we're up to you, how often would you have sex?
A day or like how what?
I was thinking a week, but
Oh.
and then on weekends, how often?
I mean, if the kids aren't around, I can hang out naked and just kind of see what happens. Like I like to wake up and have sex, and I like to maybe cook because I'm gonna get hungry and I gotta refuel him, and then have sex and maybe let him take a nap because I need some gardening and I really like the sun. Good dinner.
How many times a week, if you, in an ideal situation? How many-
In like early relationship, single woman phase, like there's not a, I don't know that number. That's, I can a lot.
Okay.
In successful relationship, we've got kids, we've got different lives and stuff. I would really like to come together at least 3 quality times a week.
Okay.
Okay, this is probably where we're going to be slightly different. Only from, I would like sex every single day, multiple times a day. And my kids are gone and out of the house, so I don't have that that distraction of time and distraction of energy. So I don't have that and would still want it like multiple times a day.
And that just actually makes me the luckiest guy in the freaking world because I do date Tracy. But she would kill me if she had her way. Okay, so how long did you go without sex with your husband before the end of the marriage?
7 years.
Wow.
I thought my 2 years was bad.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years without sex. And didn't even
miss it, did you?
No.
No, okay.
Well, no, not initially.
Yeah. Do you find sex more pleasurable now or when you were in your 20s?
Oh no. Oh, by far now. Like without even any question. Like
Yep.
I own my body. I know my things. I know my things. And
Yep.
beyond.
Agreed. Now is so much better because you're more confident in yourself. You aren't afraid to communicate what you want to help get you pleasured.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see them pleasured.
Oh yeah.
And that gets you excited just as much. And
Well, and I've been good friends with my fat rolls long enough now that I no longer really care whether or not he's staring at my post-maternity pooch a little bit because really his eyes are rolled in the back of his head and who's got time for all that shit? You know, so like in my 20s I was always concerned about holding things in and trying to be this, and now I'm like, oh fuck it, it's on. And
I think even when you're younger, you, whether it's right or wrong, and I think it's wrong, I think girls and women are brought up to be made to think that they have to always please the man, and it's the sex is about him, and it's like, hell no, it's about us too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big believer if you focus on pleasing your partner, everyone ends up really happy.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
Okay. So one of the things I've been preaching for years to guys is you need to be planning the dates. You need to be taking care of that. You need to still date your wife. We're not going to dig into the whole we focus on the kids thing. You're right. That is a huge issue with all families. But men need to be leading in the romance. They need to plan the dates. They need to tease you about it, let you know there's plans, and take all of that responsibility off of you Is that a big deal for you guys?
For me, it's huge. I mean, I have always been a type A personality.
Mm.
I have always been the one in control at work, in control at home, with the kids,
Yes.
always doing. So even if he had done that little bit and been interested in planning dates, I still would have handled everything else much better.
Oh my God, so much better.
Because he would at least take some of that. There are just times where you just don't want to have to think. You just want to have it all planned out so that you can go along and just enjoy.
Yeah.
And when you're the one constantly doing and going and planning everything,
Well, then
it's hard
it
to enjoy.
becomes another business transaction. And
Yeah.
that is not, and then on top of it, you're like, okay, after I plan all the things and I run all of your life and I make sure that your laundry's clean and I've fulfilled all of the needs at work and I've done all the things, and now I've executed the babysitting plans and I made sure that we got to where we're going, oh yeah, now you want to know whether or not I managed to get cute lingerie and I'm gonna like undress myself for you? Fuck you.
Now, guys, planning the date also means if you've got kids, taking care of babysitters.
Yes.
You take full responsibility for that date. Minimum should be twice a month. I'm not saying it's easy when there's little kids, but you've got to understand. And the guys who are in the midst of marital problems, there may not be an openness for dating right now, but if the relationship heals, remember this last minute or so where they answered this question and listen to it again. It's your responsibility to plan the dates.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Had my husband, who was not any good at planning the dates, asked me for some help, for instance, I need an idea of 3 things that you would like to do, I would have provided it. If he had said, I don't know who to call for babysitting, what have you tried? I would have told him what I felt was most successful on what days. I would have completely given him the roadmap in order to figure it out. But he was so afraid to not get it right the first time that he wouldn't even try. And that is, it's the lack of trying is really what killed it more than the lack of doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I did is we have some men's group online that I'm part of, and that I coach these guys, and we asked them for questions. So this is one of the guys' questions. One man wanted to know if you prefer a masculine man or a new age guy.
Ooh, that's a good question.
It is. I like masculine man. Just because I like the manly man that makes me feel like I can be walking down the street protected. He's going to take control after sex. Is good with cuddling, and yet you've got this strong arm to curl up into. When I think of the manly man, I also think of someone who's very confident.
Right.
Not to say that the new age isn't, but that's just what the connotation is for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to say I lean into the masculine, but I like the aspect of the new age man who is willing to cook and to experiment a little bit. I do need a level of vulnerability accessible, and so sometimes when guys, particularly men over 50, think of like a masculine man, they're going into like John Wayne. And I don't want necessarily the strong silent type. I want the strong get his shit together type.
Yeah.
Kind of like a George Clooney who can cook.
Okay, yes, please.
Okay.
I'd take one of those.
Yes. Do you have one?
Joe Manganiello would be another.
Okay, yes, please.
If I can have Sophia, you can have Joe.
That'd be okay.
Ooh, I can have her too.
Yes. How important is it to you that a man you're dating can make you laugh?
Oh, beyond. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. A not as physically attractive man who has got good timing, self-confidence, and is funny will get so much further than Mr. in the gym, has his shit together, well manicured, but
But
is
is
all
a-
business.
Yeah. Or as a door.
Yeah.
You can't have them. Yeah.
No.
Do you care that he is got 3% body fat and looks like a male model, or is an ordinary guy who is secure, confident, can can do the thing, can treat you right. Is that far more important than the physical appearance?
Those things make the physical appearance attractive still too. I mean, that makes the whole package attractive.
I would agree. Now, as someone who is just beginning to date, it is important to me that a man is at least aware that he needs to care for himself.
Yeah.
So I would not.
That goes without saying.
Okay, does it?
Yeah, I think it
I'm
does.
not sure because, like, my ex-husband thought that taking care of himself was just getting food in his body. It doesn't. McDonald's doesn't count. I want someone who understands the difference between proteins, carbs, and fats. They don't have to be good at it. They just have to know how to balance it a little bit and be willing to have some conversation. That's all.
Yep.
So, sweet lovemaking or kinky fuckery?
Yes, both, please.
Both
Yes, and
with a big dab of the kinky fuckery.
But-
big dab.
yes, like there's going to be time where I emotionally only have time for kinky fuckery. Like the sweet stuff is heavy. I don't always want heavy. Sometimes I just want a good fuck, and sometimes that needs to last like an hour and a half, and sometimes that can only, 20 minutes fine.
Doesn't have to always be some long drawn out, because life happens and
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't always have to end in like the most amazing orgasm I've ever had. I'm super tired of.
do you have to have huge or multiple orgasms for it to be a successful intimate encounter with your man?
No, not at all.
It's rare that I don't have multiple.
Well, but I think that when you're
You might be
comfortable in
dating a
your
really good
skin-
guy, who knows?
But you know yourself now, and honestly,
Yeah,
I gotta say
that's
too,
exactly.
it's the same thing for me. It's very rare that I don't have fulfilling and excellent orgasm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 13, but for the most part, even if it is none, if I feel cared for, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm totally fine because it does not hurt my feelings. If I get all the pleasure and he doesn't have time for his, like if that's what's gonna happen, all right, thank you. So turnabout is fair play. I'll take care of my man. No problem.
It all evens out in the long run, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
If you're in a good relationship. Okay. What do you bring to a relationship you believe men really want?
Probably smarts and sassiness at the same time. Humor. Fun. I haven't been anywhere where I haven't been told that you don't know a stranger. So there's always.
Oh, you are good at being warm and inviting. That is like, you were instantly that way.
Approachable, I think.
So, but not in a weird sort of, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're really good at it. You're fantastic at eye
I
contact
appreciate that.
and you're a good leader in an unknown social situation too. You're really excellent with that.
I appreciate that.
No, I totally agree. That's what she brings.
Okay. What about you?
Well, I am shockingly high energy, and so I provide motivation on many levels. But also, I am relatively drama-free. I bring a level head and a pragmatic outlook to most situations. I can be logical and creative. I believe that as long as two parties want to accomplish the same thing, that it really doesn't matter if they agree when they start. I love to communicate. I don't want to just sit there negotiating with negative banter back and forth. I want to find out what we want and then the steps. So I don't need to check phones. I don't get hysterical. I'm super calm. I can come up with a plan. I can go with the plan. I'm that girl. I'm awesome.
I would agree.
So I know both of these ladies quite well, and they are both pretty awesome. So, guys, that's it for episode 1. You've heard some pretty insightful stuff here that you might even want to listen to this a second time. You would be so lucky to date either of these women. I am lucky enough to be dating one of them, so I'm very blessed. But remember, guys, you've heard what they're thinking and how they're looking at things. This shouldn't be new to you, but some of it may be. What you do with it is going to be what determines what will your legacy be. thanks. And we're going to have episode 2 in 2 weeks, and these ladies are going to be on that episode as well.